He doesn't want us talking about how he demolished the right to choose in this country, that he's the reason that even IVF could be banned in many places in this country. The last thing he wants us to do.
So my question is, why are so many people, which including myself, why are we falling for it? Why are we falling for the rope-a-dope? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are we? So one thing that I've been trying to focus on myself with my channel and the content that I create is try not to spend too much time focusing on things and subject matters that don't matter. You know what I'm saying? And try to, whatever type of content that I'm creating, put something of substance into that. Somehow, some way, I need to make sure I'm putting something that's important in my content. And just with social media and just how everything, is created to kind of, captivate our attention is stupidness. It's easy for us to get sidetracked, tunnel visioned on just like I did a video recently. Old boy said supposedly said the N-word on Megyn Kelly's show. And it's like, I mean, I get it. It's a fun, thing to talk about. But like, I've seen just about every single creator just spend like 15, 20 minutes on that subject or on that instance. And it's like, no, like why are we like spending so much time just locked in on something so ignorant? And if you did say the N-word, who cares? Haha, idiot, and let's just move on. But when it comes to Trump, this is like his bread and butter move. Like if he was a boxer, this is his rope-a-dope. When they lean against the rope, it kind of just, do stuff like that. Or if he was a wrestler, this will be his signature move, is to like scapegoat. He knows how to divert your attention onto something else real quick. And he has a history of doing that, like with himself. Like he'll call the news stations or whatever and pretend to be someone else to talk about himself. And it's like he's, kind of good at that. So let's go ahead and watch Pete Buttigieg. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Pete Buttigieg explain this beautifully, and the way that he's able to kind of get his point across is like, you can't argue what he's going to say, because I mean that's just what's happening.
Reports that is happening. Pete Buttigieg is back with me, and I think what's important about this is that this isn't just something that's happening online or on the debate stage. The city hall in Springfield, Ohio today had to be evacuated because of a bomb threat. Luckily, everything was okay. But just to see the impact that something like this could be having on people's lives, what do you make of what's happening?
This is a strategy. And there's even more to it than demonizing immigrants, although that's obviously part of what he's doing. Yeah. This is a strategy to get us talking about the latest crazy thing that he did, whatever urban legend he amplifies. Right now, it's about people eating cats or geese or whatever, because he cannot afford for us to be talking about his record. He doesn't want us talking about the fact that we lost manufacturing jobs on his watch, even before COVID, which is why the United Auto Workers are against him. He doesn't want us talking about the fact that his main economic policy promise he actually kept was to cut taxes for the rich. He doesn't want us talking about how he demolished the right to choose in this country, that he's the reason that even IVF could be banned in many places in this country. The last thing he wants us to do.
So my question is, why are so many people, which including myself, why are we falling for it? Why are we falling for the rope-a-dope? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are we so easily just like locked in it? And once again, just think about it. How long have we been talking about immigrants eating cats and dogs and geese? Why? It's not true. Oh, guess what? It's not true. There's no, not even a little proof or factual, like substance to back up those claims, it's not all right. Let's talk about what matters. I know it's boring. I know the click rate, the viewing rate, the retention is not going to be as sexy and as beautiful, when you're talking about actual policies and the details. And I know it's boring, but like that's the stuff that affects us everyday people, not immigrants claiming that immigrants are eating cats and dogs. Because trust me, we as Americans are probably eating worse than cats and dogs, so.
Is to talk about his record or his agenda. So what he wants us talking about is whatever crazy nonsense he can thrust into the center of the internet and the media conversation, which this week happens to be the stuff about eating cats or dogs or geese or whatever.
So
it's
you think it's
tomorrow.
just a distraction technique?
Yeah, I mean, but it's one that isn't harmless, right? It's affecting this community, and it contributes to this bigger picture of demonizing immigrants. But again, this is strategic. I don't give him credit for much, but whether it's this, whether it's blurting out a racist remark in a auditorium full of black journalists, as he did a few weeks ago, whether it's choosing 9/11 of all days to invite a 9/11 truther who said it was an inside job with him, right? All of these things are to a purpose. And the purpose is to do something so outrageous that we have to talk about it, that journalists have to go in, if for no other reason than to run it down and debunk it when it's false. And to try to suck up all the oxygen into that so that we're not talking about his profoundly unpopular policy agenda, Project 2025, and all of the failures of his actual time in office.
Yeah, of course, the Project 2025.
What can you say against that argument? That's either Trump is that stupid and he's that oblivious to reality, like bringing someone like old girl that he brought on 9/11. You can't defend that. The only thing you can say is, yeah, Trump is an idiot. Yeah, Trump does some questionable things. So either he's an idiot and you're willing to vote for an idiot, which, I mean, what does that say about you? You know what I'm saying? Or he's doing this on purpose and it's a strategy and we're all falling for it. So what does that say about us? Hey, somebody's the idiot, either him or us. And, once again, I need to get out of that circle. I need to get out of that rotation because it's not worth falling for it and wasting time on stupid, baseless
Founder Trump, they've tried to distance themselves from that. But it's interesting what you say about why they're saying this, because I spoke to Senator J.D. Vance after the debate and pressed him on this. And he kind of said essentially that they were, even if it wasn't true, they were glad they were bringing it up because it drew attention to what's happening in Springfield. Listen to what he had to say.
We've heard from a number of constituents on the ground, Caitlin, who both firsthand and secondhand reports saying this stuff is happening. So they very clearly, meaning the people on the ground dealing with this, think that it is happening.
Senator, you talked about that your office has gotten a lot of reports. I mean, if someone calls your office and says they saw Bigfoot, that doesn't mean they saw Bigfoot. Why? I mean, you have a sense of responsibility as a running mate, and he certainly does as the candidate to not promote false information,
Look,
right?
Caitlin, it's a totally fair point, but nobody's calling my office and saying that they saw Bigfoot. What they're calling and saying is we're seeing migrants kidnap our dogs and cats, and city officials aren't doing anything about it.
Ugh.
The other part of that answer was he was saying that even if they have to meme their way to get attention on Springfield, which has had 20,000 Haitian migrants move there, which is more nuanced than how it's been portrayed.
And from what I kind of researched on that, it wasn't just boom all at once. Here's 20,000 just immigrants fresh out of Haiti into this small town. Like, good luck. Like, this was over years in the making. They didn't just drop 20,000 people and like a video game, like boom, now there's extra 20,000. Oh man.
He was saying it's basically kind of worth spreading information that may not be true, that we know is not true.
Yeah, there's lots of different simultaneous reasons why he's going to spread lies. I still think the main one has to do with distracting from their own agenda and the things that make the Trump-Vance ticket and policies, and J.D. Vance in particular, so unpopular. Now, there's also obviously a pretty dark and twisted picture that he's painting of immigration. Earlier today, I saw that J.D. Vance went on TV and said that if immigration were part of how countries become prosperous, then, quote, America would be the most prosperous country in the world, which makes me wonder, what country does J.D. Vance think is the most prosperous country in the world, since he doesn't think it's America? And also, does he really think that immigration has nothing to do with American prosperity? Most Americans disagree. By the way, most Americans also disagree with Donald Trump's decision to kill the bipartisan border bill that Kamala Harris has pledged that she would sign if it came to her. So rather than have us talking about that, he wants us talking about people allegedly eating cats, which is not happening. And then the other thing they'll do, of course, is because this is a country of 300 million people, they'll probably sooner or later find some case where somebody somewhere did something weird to a cat and try to make that into a reason to prolong this debate so that we could be talking about anything but.
And that's already happened. Pictures of a dark-skinned person. Don't know if they verify if it was just a black person or I mean, just because you dark skinned doesn't mean you're an immigrant or you're from Haiti. And it was a picture of a dude holding, it looked like dead geese, and like trying to frame it as if this was happening in Springfield and this was a Haitian immigrant and he was ready to cook these suckers. But fact checked, this was not an immigrant. It was actually an American, and he was moving roadkill from the middle of the road. You know, why did the geese cross the road? Like, it didn't, because it got hit and it died, and the civilian had to help it finish crossing the road. I know that was a bad joke. I know. I'm not a comedian. It just happened. So, but once again, just like he said, they're going to continue to, it's easy to make up stuff, but we have to be smart enough to say, hey, not today. We're not going to play those games. Let's talk about why Trump and the Republicans, on how hard they want to go on the border, how come they didn't sign that bill? I need some answers. It sounds a little suspicious if that's your number one goal. And the Democrats are finally, which, I mean, I don't want to say finally because, you know, I got my own opinions on why Democrats decide to always try to one-up Republicans in the worst ways ever. But essentially, they're trying to get a bill that Republicans should be happy for, and they don't go along with it. Why? You watching. Because I know 9 times out of 10, you don't agree with me on anything. Why did they not want to sign it? Oh, no, you would rather talk about fantasy stories on immigrants and eating people's pets. That's what you would rather talk about, because once again, that demonizes other people, that puts a false impression on immigrants. And then you can go ahead and add, they're stealing your jobs. They're filling up, you know, they're replacing your kids in school. They're going to kidnap and ruin cities. Like, that's just the extra stuff that always gets sucked into those kind of conversations. And trust me, I just had a conversation with someone and they said the same things. So it's like, can we as adults refocus our focus on things that matter? And trust me, like I said, if you want to talk about, you know, immigrants eating cats and dogs, let's talk about what Americans is putting in our bodies every single day, and how the food industry capitalizes off of just giving us poison because it increases their profits. That's a more interesting conversation. Let's have our government do something about that. But no, I know you guys want to talk about geeses immigrants and all that stuff. So, but once again, if you think I'm wrong, if you think, that's the topic that needs to be focused on, and immigrants is ruining the country, even though we're essentially all immigrants, and some were kind of forced here, but that's a whole nother conversation. Let me know down below, and like always, let's have that conversation.